Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. More Birthright for you here. We're working our way through the remaining Burek realms. Today we're taking a look at Kvigmar, another one for players. Now, before we get into that though, guys, if you want to see videos like this early and other exclusive Birthright content, D&D content, and some of the other games that we cover on the channel as well, head over to our Patreon there. We got many different levels. All the support there does help us continue to bring stuff like this to you guys. Helps us acquire other like rare and hard to find older D&D modules and stuff like that. So your support goes right back into the channel. But let's jump in here. Kvigmar. So one of the sort of new fledgling realms along with Hjolvar. So it's chaotic good, recommended, and really, as it says here, at the frontier of the highlands and really just the frontier in general. It's a rough, rugged land of craggy mountains, windswept hills, and dark, crashing surf, a place where only the boldest and hardiest survive. So, and you can tell that from, look at the provinces here, right? You got 3 zeros, a 1, and a 4, which is pretty solid, you know, by most standards. But that's like essentially that one little blip of civilization here. There's exactly 1 law holding, and it's not even fully fleshed out. A couple of temples, though, and a couple of guilds. There's some room for the guilds to grow too. So let's jump in and see what's what here. And there's no sources, as we can see, right? So the law, Jarl Ulrich, from his stone manse in the city of Kvigmar, controls what law exists in the land, but this barely extends beyond the walls of the capital. The remainder of the land is wild and unsettled, with few humans and fewer still who acknowledge his authority. Temples, the Emerald Spiral holds sway within the city of Kvigmar and in the few desolate caves, circles, and groves sprinkled across the realm's isolated reaches. The Oaken Grove has yet to take note of Kvigmar as a source of new worshippers and maintains no temples here. Guilds, though, trade is sparse here, for the mountain passes to Hjolvar and Danigau are sheer and dangerous. And that's an opportunity for, if you're running this realm, something to try and fix by sort of literally hacking a path and a more like reliable trade route through some of these just tough geographical issues. Some sea trade exists, fueled by the increasing prosperity of Kopingdal and the need for a second mercantile port. Ulrich and his allies control trade in Kvigmar, naturally. Sources, no wizards currently control any sources here, but plenty of potential for that. Now, Regency, again, and this is another one just like with Hjolvar, if you want to play the game literally at the frontier of civilization, but also just like on extreme difficulty as far as running a realm goes, look no further than this, right? Regency generated accumulated 7 and 4, respectively. Treasury of only 2 gold bars, so, bare bones. And right now, the kingdom only generates 2 gold bars per turn. So you've got your work cut out for you as far as growing the realm and generating some income just to keep things together, right? And you really can't afford to deal with many disasters because you just have literally hardly any income. That being said, there's still a surprisingly sizable army for such a tiny but also largely unsettled realm. So let's take a look. Consists of only those units assigned to the defense of the city of Kvigmar itself, plus a few scouts responsible for keeping watch over the passes and on the activities of the Urgazai goblins. Jarl Ulrich's personal guards are hardened veterans, or veteran warriors, who will give their lives for the regent. They are known as the Kvigmar Guardians. So you get 1 sort of elite unit, you have 2 units of infantry and 2 of scouts, so 5 units, and there's, when we started this whole long series with like the Annuarian realms, right, there's even some Annuarian realms that don't have this size of a force, so that's nothing to sneeze at for such a undeveloped realm. Now, if you wanted to play the current ruler, so the ruler of Kvigmar City and theoretically the 5 or so provinces surrounding it, has traditionally been called Jarl. Current ruler, Jarl Ulrich, is a level 9 fighter and pretty solid bloodline, chaotic good, has considered consolidating and expanding his realm's influence, but the nation's rugged nature makes economic activity and population expansion difficult. Ulrich is an excellent and well-mannered ruler who knows that he rules by the will of his own people. For their part, the quiet and good-hearted people of Kvigmar love their Jarl and believe him to be a wise and brave protector. Lieutenants are his warden, Sir Boric, who commands the city's defenses and oversees trade matters within its walls, and his harbor master, Captain Audric, who commands the city's small trade fleet and oversees diplomacy and mercantile agreements with other nations. Both are highly competent and loyal, so at least you have that going for you. Now, they don't provide any stats necessarily on them, but again, you could feel free to work with your DM on what that is, or the DM could already have that in place for the player if they're running this campaign. And that could be another one too, where the player characters take on the roles of the lieutenants to help out their regent. Other NPCs. So it recently became home to a wealthy merchant named Nilsvar. Arriving on a large dragon ship, immediately began construction of an extensive manse near one of the major city walls and contributed considerable sums to help improve Kvigmar's defenses and harbor facilities. He has since become well known in the city and is considered generous and charitable. Now, an unpleasant rumor has tarnished his reputation of late, however. Some now claim that he's actually the infamous Rurik Reaver known as the Black Fiend, who ravaged the west coast of Cerealia and the coastal cities of the Krakenari before mysteriously vanishing several years ago. He has not chosen to respond to the rumors, but they are spreading, and he may soon have to take notice of them. So whether that's going to go one way or the other is certainly up for the DM, but plenty of opportunity there. And that's one too, where if how much do you want to trust this mysterious benefactor here who's pouring money into the realm? Is that going to be someone that's going to be a problem that you're going to have to deal with, or is it someone who generally wants to help you grow? But also, is this guy just also looking to put his past behind him and sort of retire and live a different life? Or is he something else entirely? Who knows? Description. Kvigmar has existed as a northern outpost of Rurik society for nearly 200 years. Founded by dissident Rurik, who disliked the influence of the Anawirans on their people, they've survived despite harsh weather, inhospitable terrain, and occasional trouble from the Urgazai goblins. Actual Kvigmar influence is limited to the hunters, scouts, and tough settlers occupying the various provinces which are today considered part of the realm. Many of these settlers and occasional inhabitants are themselves highly independent types who barely acknowledge the Jarl in the city of Kvigmar as the realm's ruler. In recent years, Brechtators have begun to influence the realm, bringing their trade in goods and customs to the distant land, much to the disdain of many traditional Rurik. So again, you have that conflict there between, hey, we're trying to escape the Anawiran influence. We don't want to trade that for Brecht influence, but again, there's a very real need for them to develop trade to, again, bring necessary goods to them. So there's always that conflict. But also, again, the sort of cultural conflict of the traditional Rurik, nomadic Rurik, versus the more urbanized / or quote unquote civilized Rurik that are trying to live differently. The nation of Kvigmar is shaped like a rough V, formed by the Spear March Mountains to the north and the Drakonsmar Range to the south. Between them, Kvigmar is truly breathtaking land of steep valleys, deep rivers, brooding mountains, crystal lakes, and deep green forests that cling precariously to stony slopes. Human habitation is basically few and far between, consisting of isolated herders' cottages, hunters' camps, and tiny hamlets with populations of 36 or less. A number of isolated hunters and trappers call the mountains of Kvigmar home. A few small semi-nomadic tribes, some of which have not had contact with the outside world in decades, inhabit the nation's handful of fertile valleys. At the base of the V are the Grey Hills, rough country bordering the realm of the Urgazai. Goblin raiders and hunters and foragers sometimes cross the border and cause problems for human inhabitants of Kvigmar. Now, the Jarl's scouts are responsible for keeping watch over the frontier and alerting inhabitants should the goblins attack, but do not have the numbers to oppose them. That could be a very real external threat too, but also fun for adventuring, right? Again, every once in a while, just having some nice hack and slash and just thinning out some, bad guys, monsters, etc. can always be fun for the party too. But again, is one of the real problems in such a small, undeveloped realm, and they just don't have the manpower to really permanently cover it until things develop more. The capital, in many ways, Kvigmar is its capital city. The town has stood for nearly 2 centuries, growing from a rude collection of wooden buildings, painstakingly assembled by determined Rurik settlers, into the walled harbor town that exists today. The city survives through a small trade triangle that links the outside world, the brave souls who inhabit the interior, and the coastal fishing. During the fishing seasons, dozens of clinker-built Knar and other small vessels set sail from the city and return home with their nets overflowing with fish, the staple food of Kvigmar. Whaling and seal hunting are also practiced by the locals, and the products of these great mammals provide important trade goods as well. Speaking of which, so as you might suspect, right, timber, fish, whale oil, furs, and seal pelts are their major exports, and then basically everything else that they need for survival, food, clothing, nets, fish hooks, tools, weapons, and the like are imported from the outside world, particularly the Brecht lands. There are already 2 sea trade routes in place, which should help with some income too, connecting Kvigmarheim to Hjolvar and also Danegau. So that should be expanded as well at some point if you're running the realm, right? Trade, and more trade is going to help out until the land itself gets a little bit more civilized. So leveling up the guild in the capital certainly would be of interest there too. Maybe even getting the capital raised to like a level 5 would help out there, and then gradually somewhat getting the provinces settled into at least level 1s and 2s. Moving on. So you do have good relations with the neighboring lands of Hjolvar and Danegau, and you maintain trade routes through the high mountain passes. And again, that should be worth pouring some effort into, just to more stabilizing them, making it easier to traverse, and hopefully increasing the flow of trade. In some ways, the Kvigmarites maintain closer relations with the Brechts than their own Rurik brethren. Brecht traders often visit the city, bringing both news from the outside world and desperately needed goods. Now, many of the Brecht mariners have developed a fondness for the rough, rugged town and the land around it, and their influence is spreading. Much of the realm's clothing, tools, and food are of Brecht origin. It's almost as common to hear Brecht voices on the streets of Kvigmar as Rurik. Now, finally, the enemies. They're always present here in this section, but the goblins of Urgazai are the realm's most persistent foes. We'll be getting to those soon. Bordering the southwestern edge of Kvigmar, the Goblin Kingdom is a source of great difficulty for the Jarl. Even when goblin bands enter the realm merely to forage, which for the goblins is basically on the same page as raiding and stealing from human settlements, humans are forced to retreat rather than fight for the kingdom's resources, are basically insufficient to pursue even limited military objectives. Right. So again, you do have a sizable army for what it is. Doesn't really tell you like where they're deployed in which province, but even then, it's not quite enough to really resist the goblins consistently. Certainly, you need size or a good portion of that to protect the capital city. So it can't be everywhere all at once. But again, that's a perfect opportunity for player characters to do some adventuring. Maybe if you're running the realm, maybe you take a small pause from running. Maybe you nominate an extra lieutenant just to run things for a month as you go adventuring, and hopefully doing some serious damage to the Urgazai and other monsters, and hopefully using that as a sort of consistent approach to making the land safer and ripe for settlement. And that could be a source of income too for the Jarl. Once things are leveled up a little bit, you can really, like, as an enticement, offer up some of the land for settlement, and really just get people to essentially purchase parcels of land to maybe start some farming and some other trade and stuff like that. Just formalize that a little bit more, and that could also help with generating some income. So plenty of cool opportunities here. So again, Hjolvar and Kvigmar are really both realms at the edge of civilization here, and kind of have somewhat similar theme here, right? You have that sort of capital city, which really is the realm at this point, and then everything else is just kind of there without much to it right now. So that being said, it presents a fun campaign because, again, you can really write the story of the realm from the ground up, more or less. Yes, there's 200 years of history here, but again, it's just a small village that grew into a city that really now has some attached provinces loosely joined together in a realm here. So plenty of opportunity. Let us know in the comments, guys, if you've tried out Kvigmar. What would you do with it? Hit us up in the comments. Like I said, like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next one.